Hey, Jonathan here. In this video I'm going to be answering a question that we got in our comment section in a previous video, and this one was from Ross Keeley, and he asked if we had any tips for helping with flexibility and fluidity in our movement. So in this video I want to give you 3 awesome tips for getting more flexible. Flexibility is important. We're going to see a lot of great benefits from getting more flexible. We're going to see benefits in our physical abilities, like having a greater range of motion will increase the power we can generate, so we'll be able to jump higher and see an increase in our jumps. We're going to see a great reduction in our injuries. An example of this for me is when I was running sprints one time. This is a while back, and I was very tight in my hamstrings due to not being flexible. And so when I was running full out in sprints, I was going past the point that was that my flexibility would allow, and I ended up pulling my hamstring pretty bad. And this could have been easily avoided if I was more flexible. Also, being flexible is crucial for acrobatic movements and parkour movements. If you've seen gymnasts, they train their flexibility all the time because it's very important whenever you're doing flips, especially for back handsprings and things like that. Having that greater range of motion increases your ability to tuck faster, and it's also almost impossible to do some of the acrobatic feats without having a good range of flexibility, like the back handsprings, for example, and aerial type movements. Having flexibility is really important for those moves. Even for everyday walking around and movements, such as tying your shoes and things like this. If we're too tight, and most of us are really tight, especially in these areas, the hamstrings and the hip flexors, because we're sitting all day, it can make it really hard to even bend down to tie our own shoes, or we could end up walking around like this where we're constantly in this position, and that pretty much a seated position, so we're walking around like this. I'm pretty sure you've seen people walking around like this, and it can make just normal day life really uncomfortable. And another end result of not being flexible, again, is back pain. You see, when we have tight hamstrings and tight hip flexors, a lot of that pressure is then directed to our lower back. And so if we want to live a more enjoyable life, flexibility is a great way to help alleviate a lot of those problems. The first tip for getting more flexible is that we always want to have a nice warm-up before we start stretching. It's really important that we have a good warm-up. This is going to get our blood pumping. It's going to increase our body temperature. It's going to lubricate our joints. And so this will make us more pliable for our stretches, so we'll be able to go deeper into our stretches, and we'll also reduce our risk of injury during our stretches, because if we try to stretch without warming up, our muscles are going to be really stiff and tight, and we can cause injury. Here's a quick example of a warm-up you can do before you're stretching. So first we're going to go through each joint and take it through circles. This is what this is going to do. Is going to lubricate the joint and also increase its range of motion before we start stretching. So what we're going to do is start with the top of the head and work our way down all the way through our joints to our ankles. So we really want to hit the big ones. So we're going to do circles, and I like to do 10 in one direction and then switch directions and do 10 in the other direction. And then I'll go down to the shoulders in the opposite direction, elbows. So you're doing full circles, switch directions, doing both arms. Then the wrists. Sometimes I'll even do the fingers. Then I'll go down to the hips, doing full circles. And this one feels really good. Now if I want to, sometimes I'll even throw in figure eights with the hips, just because there's a lot of different muscles here that are usually really tight. So I'll do figure eights, go in different directions. And I'll get to the knee joints, and then down to the ankles. And you can add in other things too, like reaching up towards the sky, going down, touching your toes, coming back up. You want to just do nice, simple things to get the joints hitting their full range of motion before you stretch. Then after that, we want to do some nice cardio just to get the blood pumping and raise that body temperature to make our muscles more pliable. And a good way to do this is just something simple like jumping jacks or jogging around for 5 minutes, something that increases the heart rate and gets you warmed up, prepared for the stretch. The second tip I have for you is a type of stretching, and I've been using this a lot recently. I've seen a lot of great benefits, and it's called active stretching. And what this is going to do is we're going to work on our flexibility, but we're also going to increase the strength of the muscles for that joint. So, for example, I've been using this a lot with kicks. It's been helping me with my martial arts kicks. And an example of this is where we lift our leg up like we're going to do a front kick, and we extend our leg and we hold this position. So we're not kicking into it. We're not. That's called a different type of stretching. We're just going to go nice and slow and controlled, and lift our leg into the stretch. And so we're building strength while we're holding this, and we're also building flexibility. And we want to make sure that we maintain good alignment, because that's going to help with the stretch. We don't want to be hunched over. We want to have good integrity and good alignment. And what I like to do is several different kicks and things like this. So I'll do the front one, I'll do the side, I'll do behind, so I'll go to the back, hold here, and then I'll do like simple circles in and out. So I'll go towards the outside, and then I'll bring it back towards the inside, and then I'll even start from here and rotate all the way around. And you can do this with multiple joints, simple things like that. A great one from the shoulders is you can lean up against a wall and you put your arms back like so, and just go through in a slow, smooth motion, going all the way up, extending, and then coming back down like so. And the goal is to try to have 3 points of contact on the wall the whole time. So your elbow, the back of your hand or your wrist, and your shoulders. You go all the way up, all the way down, nice and slow. The third tip I have for you is the holy grail of stretching. It's one that I've seen a lot of people promote, and it works incredibly well for building flexibility fast. And it's called P&F stretching. What P&F stretching does is it allows us to go deeper into our stretch. Because when we go into a normal static stretch, usually what happens is we can go to a certain point, but then we have this thing called a stretch reflex that goes on, where our muscles contract and keep us from going deeper into the stretch. Now, the stretch reflex is a good thing for certain situations. Like, for example, if I stuck my arm out and I wasn't looking and someone dropped a bunch of books on it, my muscles in my arm would automatically contract once the books hit to prevent my hand or arm from hyperextending, and also to prevent me from injuring the muscles in my arm. But whenever we're trying to get deeper in our stretch, this prevents us from going deeper into the stretch. So what P&F does is it prevents that stretch reflex from keeping us from going deeper. And so the way we do this is that we start off in just a static stretch. I'm using the splits for an example, but you can do this with any of the different muscle groups and joints. So you start in a static hold, get in your position, hold this for 3 seconds, then we're going to contract the legs. So we're going to act like we're pushing our legs towards the ground, like I'm going to try to lift myself up and contract these muscles right here. We're going to hold this for 7 seconds and then relax. Now what this does, contracting these muscles will cause them to become fatigued, and so that means they will relax a lot more instead of contracting when we try to go deeper. So this allows us to go deeper into the stretch. So after the 7 seconds, we pause for about 3 seconds and then go deeper into the stretch and hold that for about 15 seconds. Now you can do this multiple times if you want to, like the multiple contractions, but I wouldn't go any longer than 30 seconds. I usually keep each of these stretches to about 30 seconds. And so that's a great way to get deeper with your stretch and develop more flexibility a lot quicker. So those are 3 tips to help you with your flexibility. Make sure to do all those: the nice warm-up before you start stretching, the active stretches to build strength while we're building flexibility, and then use the P&F to get really deep into those stretches and build that flexibility really fast. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, be sure, again, to put them in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe and tune in for next week. Train safe, and I'll see you in the next video.